Hi guys, this is Katie Azevedo from SchoolHabits.com, and this is a quick tip video for anybody who is remote learning or taking an online course or who is having to learn material independently without a teacher right there to explain it. So perhaps that's like a college class, an AP class, an online class, a graduate level class, but basically where you don't have the teacher right there to break it down for you, so that independent learning. So in most cases, independent learning requires a lot of reading. That reading could be from textbooks, PDFs, articles, I don't know, whatever your teacher is sending you. And oftentimes that reading is difficult to understand without like other resources, without the teacher standing in front of the room, without the class discussion where you can understand your classmates explaining it. Independent learning is hard, to be honest. So this strategy is going to help you if you're in that situation now. Before I go over the strategy, I'm gonna make you wait for it. I'm anticipating that you might have one of two reactions to what this strategy, actually one of three. One reaction could be, oh my God, I love that strategy and I can't wait to try it. That's you, of course. Another reaction might be that you think it's just so simple. You might be like, well, obviously, like that's so simple. How can that even work? But remember, the simplest strategy the simplest strategies are the most effective, because if something's too complicated, you're not gonna do it. Like that's why complicated things don't work, because we don't do them, and because we don't do them, they don't work. You follow that? Okay. So the third response that you might have is like, why would I do that? Like, why would I follow her advice if that's just gonna create more work for me? So you might be thinking that the strategy I'm gonna give you here is gonna require like more effort. And you know what? To a degree it is. But if that's your first response, that like you don't want to try something to learn it better because it might take you a little bit of extra time, then like I don't have anything for you. Like, why are you watching a School Habits video in the first place, right? So like a little extra work for the benefit of learning something shouldn't deter you from doing that little extra work. Does that make sense? And one more thing, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get to the strategy, but before I forget, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me support my channel. Thanks. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. So the strategy is, when you are reading, you wanna pause very frequently, I'd say every paragraph or so, to write a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what you read. You don't want to write more than 2 sentences. Now let's say what you're reading is 1 page. Now 1 page at like a graduate level or a college level, or even just 1 page of reading where you don't have a teacher to when you don't have a teacher to explain it to you, that can be hard. So I don't want you to think just 1 page is just 1 page. I get it, it can be hard. Now if you can't write a summary of a paragraph in 1 to 2 sentences, that means you didn't understand what you just read. And if you didn't understand that 1 paragraph, how are you going to understand the whole page? And if you didn't understand that whole page, how are you going to understand like all the pages? You follow? You know what I mean? So forcing yourself to write a 1 to 2 sentence summary after every paragraph is a way to guarantee that you're actually understanding what it is that you're reading. Okay? Because the very act, like neurologically, the very act of going back to try to write a summary of something requires that we synthesize information and that we distill it, that we reduce it and put it into our own words. Now, when we put things into our own words, we remember it better. We always remember our own language better than we remember someone else's language. That's why, well, here's a study tip within a study tip. That's why when we study vocabulary words, or you're trying to learn a new vocab word, that you should never study the dictionary definition of the word. Always study your own definition in your own words, in your own language, because your brain's gonna remember it better. Same thing with the summaries. You're not gonna remember what the author said in their language. Like, why would you anyway? 1 to 2 sentences in your own words. Now, this strategy has a double benefit. One, it helps guarantee that what you're reading is something that you're understanding, okay? But at the end of it too, you're gonna end up with a collection of summaries, very simple 1 to 2 sentence summaries in your own language that you can study from when you eventually need to take a test on the material, or refer back to the material, or write a paper on the material. So you're gonna end up with a collection of summaries, and then you're also gonna have understood what you just read. I'd say that's like a total win-win. Now, where you write these summaries, I don't know, it's up to you. You can go analog and just write it on paper. If it's something like a textbook or a PDF that was assigned online, print it out and write it on paper if you're that type of person. If you're reading everything online and you want to use something like Notability, you can take your notes, write your summaries right there on the screen. But this is different than regular annotations. I have a whole video about 11 annotation strategies. If that's what you're looking for, go look at the other video. This is not that. This is so that you understand what you're reading and that you have something to refer back to when you have to go back to the article or to the textbook, okay? Now, this will only work if you try it. So if you're skeptical, then you're right. Then you're right, then it's not gonna work, because if you don't try it, it doesn't work. But I guarantee that just scientifically, neurologically, brain science-ly, the very act of trying to go back and synthesize and summarize information is initiating the learning process. That's like on a cellular level. I'm not gonna go into that, but you just gotta trust me with that, okay? When you go back and you try to come at information a second time, a third time, to the point where you understand it, and then you put it in your own words, that info is yours. Like, you own it. You own it. All right. So I know I said this was quick, so I'm gonna end it here. Hopefully it's helpful, and we'll see you in my next video.